Alright, welcome to the beginning of some McGolf videos and how a professional does this. What you're seeing here is a fairly simple build of 5 irons that a customer wants who lives in South Carolina but does some traveling up into West Virginia. And he called me after hitting another customer's set of clubs and said he wanted something just like them. You always want to be cautious of something like that because you don't know what how the person swings, any of the swing characteristics that person may have, some of the faults that that person might have. So over the phone, you've got to ask some pretty pointed questions. And I found out that this golfer in particular is 10 years older than the other golfer that I made these for. So I had to ask him distances, shot shapes, different types of things that are going on. And after that, we kind of came to a semi-conclusion. Now, this isn't my most favorite way of doing something, but he was pretty insistent, and I'm okay to, after the questions that I asked, that we came to a kind of a middle road, so to speak. So what we ended up with was some Washon 560s. It's a great forged club, and what they do is they forge the whole entire body, and then what they'll do is they'll mill out the cavity here, and it gives a little more precise removal of the materials to what the designer was looking for. Then they put a nice little badge in here to give it a really neat design. And what this is a larger cavity, okay, a larger cavity with a thinner top line. So for those folks that are looking for a player's club, and if you notice there's not a lot of offset on this, I don't know if you can see it better than maybe that way. There's not a lot of offset, there's not a lot of sole, so this is still a player's club that's just looking for a little more forgiveness as opposed to some of the smaller forged components that are out there. So we get these in, I do an inspection on every one of them. What we do is we look for dings, dents, make sure there's no real scars that may have gotten in here in transport, that the paint is in good shape, that we have no real modeling defects. And so far, when I've done this with Washon, I haven't had an issue yet. And I've had some other problems after they've been built, and he's been really good with us. And you see, the really neat part is I love little milling marks. It kind of shows the kind of a craftsmanship. It kind of gives it I call it like an industrial artist kind of feel. Shows what they're doing here. Now, I'm sure there's some machinists out there going, oh, it needs to be smoother, but for me, this works, because what are you going to do? You're going to be hitting the dirt with it. So I like just the way that they come out. I like the paint's very tough. In some cases, what I've done in the past is I've removed this paint and put a different kind of fill in there for somebody who likes, say, a green or even a blue for that matter. All right, so what do we like to do? First out, we've done our inspection, and now we have to weigh them. Weighing is very important because you have to have a certain gap between the two. And once you have that gap, then you know if you have to add weight or not. So what I do is I weigh it, I write it down on my piece of paper, and I turn it over. That way I know I've weighed it. I weigh that one, I write it, I weigh it, flip it over, and I write that one, and I weigh this one. This is the 9 iron. I get in here, and what I'm looking for is about a 7-gram increment between them. All right, and now we've seen that we've weighed them out. Now what I've looked at is, and you can't see it because I'm off the camera, is that they're all pretty much about 7 grams except the difference between this. Now that's the designer's choice. Okay, it's not that it's bad, it's just the designer's choice. The designer here, Tom Washon, believes he likes his pitching wedges and his A wedges as light, if not maybe sometimes lighter, than the 9 iron. Personally, I don't like that, so what I do is I add weight to give me my 7 grams. Now again, you probably won't see it, but another great design feature is inside here is that he creates another cavity, so to speak, to throw the weights that he provides in there without having to mess with the hosel depth. So you always have the constant hosel insertion that you're looking for and still can add that weight. So now we have, this is step 1 basically, the inspection, the weighing, and knowing what kind of weights that we have to put in, and that's just for the heads. Next, what we're going to do is look at the shafts.